Welcome to Conference Insider Procurement Edition, the show that gives you inside access to the procurement conferences that are shaping our industry, so you can discover and assess which ones are the best fit for your role and priorities. In a market where every event claims to be essential, clarity matters. Our goal is simple: to expand visibility, improve decision-making, and raise the standard for how procurement professionals evaluate conferences. There are more conferences than ever. Time is limited, budgets are tight, and it's often unclear what you will actually get from a conference before you attend. This show is designed to provide clear context so professionals like you can decide if a conference is worth the investment. I'm Ryan Bradford, and joining me as our co-host is Amanda Prochaska. Amanda, great to have you here.
Thanks for having me again, Ryan. I cannot wait for this conversation. As usual, I've been going to ISM for a very long time, and I'm excited to hear what is going to be new for this year's conference.
Today, we are taking an inside look at ISM World 2026 by the Institute for Supply Management, taking place April 26th through the 28th in Denver, Colorado. This event is positioned as the premier event for supply management professionals at every stage of their careers, with groundbreaking sessions, hands-on workshops, and high-value networking opportunities. This event is a gateway to growth and innovation. I'm thrilled to have ISM World on the show. So let's get an insider's view of the conference, why it matters right now, who it's designed for, what attendees will learn, what's the experience and networking environment really like, what's new this year, why is it relevant given today's procurement challenges, who's this award-winning journalist and communications leader that is emceeing the event, and what will we hear from the opening keynote from Kara Swisher? Amanda, when you look at this conference, what do you want to know before deciding to attend?
You know, I think about ISM as this wonderful baseline conference, right? You get a cross section of all these wonderful people coming together, talking about what's truly relevant in supply chain at the moment, and then also into the future. So I feel like it's a great mix of great people, great content for today and well into the future. So I'm excited, like I mentioned before, to learn what's different this year because I've been going for years. And so I'm excited to see what's coming up next.
Well, let's take a quick look at the conference and bring our guests onto the stage.
For me, it's really interacting with other people in the industry.
Looking to connect with some old friends and professionals.
It's great to be here with all of these professionals networking.
And that's kind of like the goal, right? Come here, learn something that you can take back that you can then action.
Joining us from the Institute of Supply Management, we have Angela Miller, Senior Director of Media and Events, and Kelly Wallace, Chief Media and Brand Officer at TrailRunner International, who is also the MC at ISM World 2026. Angela and Kelly, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having us.
Angela, let's start with you. Where are you based and what's your role with the conference?
I am actually based in Phoenix, Arizona area. I've been with ISM for over 8 years now, and I'm the Senior Director of Marketing and Events at ISM. So my team works throughout the year to put this conference together, and it's kind of the exciting, pivotal moment to see all of our community in person.
I'm just sitting here in shock right now, Ryan. 8 years, Angela, already?
I know. I can't believe it.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
like
Time
the
flies.
speed of the profession, the speed of my career at ISM has gone fast.
Yes, it has.
Thank you for sharing that. Kelly, where are you based? And can you share more about your role as MC for ISM World, particularly how does this add to the audience experience?
Of course. Well, first, thanks so much for having me. I am based in New York City, very much looking forward to being in Denver in April. And I'm a former journalist, so I love convening conversations, listening to stories, really diving into the issues. So the way I see it, it's sort of turning back to my reporting days and really looking forward to being there, leading some conversations, listening a lot. There's so many big issues right now. And I think it's going to be key to spend time together, listening and figuring out the best way forward. So that's going to be my role as MC.
Well, thank you for sharing. I know we're going to get into some of those big issues here in just a few minutes. First up, I want to ask is why does this conference matter for procurement today?
Well, I think there's a thing or two going on in the world that probably has continued to make this profession in particular very challenging. And as Amanda talked about, I think, as the professional association for this profession, it's really important that we focus in on how can we help our members and community advance in their profession. And the conference is the place where people come to solve those problems. So we are focusing in on really critical things like AI and digital transformation, not just from the sort of high level, like, let's talk about sort of the kind of the overarching possibilities. It's really digging in and saying, what are the things we have to think about? What have other people done? And what are the practical applications that I can take away and actually be able to apply? And we're doing risk and resilience. Obviously, a lot of geopolitical factors, climate change, and other elements that are impacting the profession. So, really being able to maintain that resilience and do the risk planning because you really don't know what's around the corner. Talent management, and leadership. We've got folks that span the career. So you've got senior leaders that are trying to think about what does the future team look like. You've got people that want to be future leaders. So we've got a number of sessions that really talk about how do you kind of manage your own personal career, and then how do you manage that of teams and start to plan for the future. So we really just have a lot of kind of get into the heart of the key issues that are taking place now, but also how does that impact your kind of future roadmap?
And Ryan, before you dive into the next question, just one thing that I have found going to the ISM conference for several years now is that practical nature that Angela is mentioning, like to be able to go back to your desk, 2 days, 3 days after you get home and be like, I know what I need to do and I need to how to adjust my strategies and what I can apply today. So it's one huge value driver that I have personally received from going to these conferences.
It sounds like it's designed for a number of different levels where people might be at their procurement career. So maybe highlight that. Who is this conference designed for?
We're the all-inclusive community. So this is from students. We literally have our Richter scholars and other students. We have a student case competition. So you've got people that are just entering the field, but it gives people an opportunity to really showcase that talent. What does the future look like and what is the talent that's coming into the profession? All the way, we've got the mid-career, we've got a big core audience that's sort of that mid-career. So they're trying to, obviously, they've got to manage the day-to-day, but they're also looking at, they want to strive to be future leaders. So they kind of get that exposure to what are leaders thinking about? What do they need to think about if they want to be, in leadership positions? And then we also have exec in. So this is sort of a closed door invitation only event that is for more your VP, CPOs, where we have some, special speakers and specialists that come in, and also opportunities for them to be able to kind of talk across the table. So be able to meet other leaders in their positions from various industries and be able to exchange like how they're tackling and looking at things that are happening now.
Do you find that each of those levels and roles get the same value from attending?
I do, but I would say this is something that we've been really looking at, especially in that mid-career audience, that we have focused in even more so on providing different types of content that help to address sort of that core audience. Because they're sort of like, they've got a lot going on in the day, but it doesn't mean they don't think about strategy. So we want to make sure that we've got some of the practical, tactical type of sessions, but also giving them the exposure, which sometimes they don't always get to where's the practice going? What are the things that they need to think about? And what are certain skills, like, communication skills, storytelling, other types of things, the soft skills that might help them kind of propel their career?
What is the expected total attendance?
We're looking at over 1,500 attendees this year. So kind of exciting for our new location in Denver.
This is the largest procurement supply chain conference, right?
It is. It is. We've thankfully been able to keep that, as the oldest and first of professional association in the space. This is our heart. This is the opportunity. It's like family reunion. Everybody's coming together and seeing each other again and making new friends. So it's very important that we continue to have a successful event.
Is there a particular sector or industry focus of the conference best served for?
Well, I think this is also what makes us different, sort of that inclusivity piece is that it's not, we're probably about a 60-40 split between, like, I guess, manufacturing services. But it spans everything from like pharmaceuticals to financial to aerospace. The interesting thing is that there are a number of different industries represented, which also I think gives people exposure to different perspectives, probably addressing very common problems. So I think it's that is a differentiator for our event.
How many educational sessions are planned?
94. I see. I
Wow.
went up and I went through and counted. I'm like, I'm going to be real. It's 94, except not including our general sessions.
And Angela, if I can just chime in here, one of the things that I've found if you're attending the conference is to plan in advance around that content. There are so many different options that you can go down different paths, but I would say plan in advance. Think about what you want to achieve with your time there, because if you just go in and you're like, I'm just going to try to figure it out on the ground, I think you do yourself a disservice, right? Because you can dive in to so many different topics. So it's one piece of advice for those who are attending. There's just a plethora of options that you can attend.
Well, I will say we're introducing one thing to help you,
Awesome.
and we're doing note taking. So sessions will automatically. Most of the sessions, some of that are highly interactive. It's, we're not going to be doing the AI note taking, but we will be doing snapshots that people can take. You can kind of get a daily snapshot of your day. If there's options that you want to be able to, maybe adjust your plans for the next day. If there's something you had, a goal that you had that you missed. So, we're incorporating the technology as well to kind of help people be as productive on site as possible.
I love that. Kudos to you, because that's going to be so valuable for the attendees to help navigate and to get the richness of what's being presented in front of them. That's amazing.
I mean, it's hard to get away from the office, so we got to make this as impactful and worth it for the time as possible.
Yeah, and I just want to throw in, I love that idea of planning ahead. This is my first year being connected to this amazing conference, but I have been at others and I have moderated panels at other conferences. And I think the two tidbits that you're talking about that make this so successful, well, three, Amanda, as you said, plan ahead. So be intentional about what you're going to do. But the connectivity between all these different industries, supply chain, is at the center more so than really ever before over the last year or two, as we watch what's happening on a global stage and how that impacts all different sectors. So I think that's key. And then that exec in, as you mentioned, Angela, I find in my job now, we work with a lot of members in the C-suite and different leaders at all levels. They sometimes don't feel like they have that forum where they can have that free exchange of ideas and share what works, what doesn't work. So I think those are really powerful for your attendees so that they can kind of sit around and really share and learn from each other and then take those learnings to their companies and to their teams moving forward. So both are really important.
Absolutely.
Having attended and been a part of the XLN series, I can attest the level of conversations that you have and the engagement with other senior leaders and CPOs is incredible. And it really works for that level quite well. And they do a great job of curating that content, bringing those individuals together, and finding ways for us to network and collaborate while we're at the event to share ideas. So we have more information to take home with us and how we can improve what we're doing in our day-to-day lives. So I think that's been a big success, and I'm looking forward to that this year as well.
Absolutely.
How many supplier demos or presentations are you expecting?
So we have about 8 hours dedicated to our innovation park. So that's where the space that has kind of education, exhibits. We have tech demos. So we have 7 sort of dedicated technology demos. We have 12 dedicated supplier related, more educational thought leadership. And then in that time, you've also got the activations. We have like an activations area and all of the exhibits where they'll be also kind of going through time of, demonstrations, talking about their services, et cetera. So, obviously it's a very important part of the ecosystem is to really be able to invest that time to get to know what the solutions are. And so we have dedicated time in the event to be able to do that.
The opening keynote at ISM World is with Kara Swisher. Kelly, can you share what the audience can expect from that session?
First, it's a pinch me moment, right? We get to all meet and spend time with and ask questions of Kara Swisher. I'm sure everyone in your audience familiar with her. Some call her sort of the oracle of Silicon Valley and technology, best-selling author for the New York Times. She has key podcasts. She works for New York Magazine. And what she has done through these years is really kind of get a sense of where we're going when it comes to technology. What are those issues that leaders are grappling with? And then where we're going, how we're moving forward. There's probably no better person to talk to about AI, really, than Kara Swisher. All attendees in the audience, I'm sure, are thinking about AI, are using AI, are wondering how to use AI, are wondering where AI is going, how it's going to change their teams, how do they innovate and get the best of it all. So we're really looking forward to talking with her a lot about what she's seeing, what she's hearing, and also how do we blend, AI and all that it can bring to us with the human component and allow those human skills and energies and importance of human connection and connectivity still be key as we move forward. And it's coming, of course, right after we had these pivotal verdicts, right? Just recently, verdicts dealing with Meta and also Google, looking at should social media platforms be held accountable, not just for the content, but for the actual platforms themselves, the business models themselves. And that says a lot also about where AI is going in the future. So I think Angela and team are going to have to yank me from the stage because I'm not going to want to stop at 45 minutes or so. I mean, this conversation is so critical and timely. I think it's going to be a really interesting one to learn from and have great conversations around.
I know, Kelly, you just sold me. I'm like, I usually, and this is a secret about me, I usually don't go to the keynotes only because it's like my planning time for the day as we go into the rest of the conference, but I am going to this one. So you sold me. I will be there.
You do not want to miss this one. And now the pressure's on, Angela. We got to make sure that this is well worth the while, but I think it will be for sure.
Some of my most fond memories of ISM, going to ISM conferences over the years, have been the keynotes. In Exec In, I remember Janet Yellen dancing on the stage. I mean, like, there are these high impact people that you're bringing together to shine the light into our lives and into supply chain. Kudos to you for getting these wonderful speakers pulled together and making memories along the way too. That's one of the highlights that I think of all the time of my conference schedules. Circle back to ISM and these keynote speakers.
It's been kind of a differentiating point for us too. I think when other events aren't necessarily making the major investments in keynotes, I think we still think that this is an important thing to engage with our audience. I think that to really think about what's really happening and is there somebody unique to this situation, maybe outside of our profession,
Yeah.
that can really help to address it so we can kind of just see this again, it's access to different perspectives. But Kelly, I mean, you've been doing all the research on being able to interview her. So I want to throw that back over to you.
Yeah, no, I mean, you and your team are amazing, and we have more exciting research to do. But I was just going to say the other thing too, which is really important, which is thinking of the audience, right? Kara Swisher, if she were appearing somewhere else, the conversation might be slightly different. So I think we want to make sure that we're really mindful of what are the top concerns, what are the top issues, what are people in that audience at ISM World really thinking about, and then what's always nice is in these events, you get some nuggets and insights that you probably haven't heard elsewhere. You know, she may not have shared this on a podcast or in her latest, New York Times column. She may have just talked to, you name the tech leader, and she can share some of that. And I think those kind of nuggets make these conversations really valuable as well.
I'm looking forward to that keynote. I will be there.
Good.
Ryan, hold me accountable. I will also be there.
We're going to check.
Okay.
Yeah, I
don't
was gonna
see
say
you
we might be
there,
bringing out the
I'll be
spotlight.
texting.
We'll point it on you.
That's me.
I'll be texting you. Where are you?
Yes.
What else will attendees learn at the conference? And can you highlight the differences for the groups from executives or senior leaders, the managers and practitioners, emerging professionals? Can you expand a little bit more on that?
Sure. I mean, I think from the emerging professionals and the students, like we said, we have a student case competition. We have a particular workshop for some of the students coming in on how to network and take advantage. Because for them, obviously, they're trying to break into the profession. So they may have gotten internships, et cetera, but now they're looking for their first job. So, how do we tell them, teach them how to maximize events like this? And then give them some suggestions on different types of sessions that would be interesting. And then kind of like, you must go to these. These are the ones that are going to be absolutely critical for you. The mid-career, it really depends. I mean, gosh, you guys know, I mean, people are so talented. So it really depends on where exactly they are. Do they manage teams? Are they more of a specialist? So, I mean, we've got everything from, specific things around risk and resilience, kind of risk planning. There's a practical skills around negotiation, strategic sourcing. So if they're trying to up their skills, there is some things on more the practical applications of AI, even down to what do I do, versus maybe I'm trying to do a whole digital transformation strategy. From the exec in perspective, just some, things at exec in particular. We do bring in the young talent because they really are thinking about what does the future of the organization look like. So, they're getting to meet the Richter scholars. They can go to the international student case competition to really see the perspective and the talent of the future. We actually have a nuclear physicist that's coming in that's really talking a little bit about their approach. We have Kara Swisher behind the scenes. So not only do you kind of see the conversation that she and Kelly have, but now you've got Sopan, who is our head on our board. So you've got a CPO that's going to be interviewing her, and then opportunities for exec and ask her questions. So you can kind of dig deeper. We actually have on the second day a whole panel where we're actually bringing in some cutting edge suppliers, software technology suppliers. We're bringing in some consultants, and we're bringing in practitioners that are talking specifically about their AI transformation journey. So really, you understand, what does the future look like? What's happening from the technical perspective? From the supplier side, you'll kind of hear from kind of even far reaching from the consultancy side of what are the trends? And then you'll hear from the practical side of CPOs that this is what we're living. And so what nuggets can you take away from that? So we really do try to hone in on every stage of the career.
What is the networking overall experience like at the conference? Maybe you can describe that for someone who hasn't attended. And who are attendees primarily connecting with while they're at the conference?
I'm so excited about the networking. Number one reason why people go to in-person conferences. So we are leaning in. One, in being a speaker, every session is meant to be bi-directional. So we have tested it last year and now we're heavy into it this year. So it's not just I'm sitting and I'm listening only. I'm a part of the content. So it's pulling in the audiences, talking to each other. I mean, obviously we have workshops and things. Our technology, our badging technology, they're smart badges. So people can run into somebody and they're like, let's connect afterwards. They actually click their badge and they actually can start to share sort of all the contacts through the event app that they've gathered while they're on site. We have a new group that we're bringing in to help us with a very highly interactive facilitated networking event on the first day where they're going to be utilizing some fun tools that just make it fun and ask different people questions so that you'll actually be connected with some people like you based on the answers and some people that are complete opposite. So it will be like almost like sort of this facilitated way to connect with people that you probably never would have connected to otherwise. And then we have like places where people can set up appointments one-on-one with each other. Obviously all the fun parts, the receptions and things that are just, and then we're doing some micro community stuff. So this is where, maybe smaller groups can meet and go out to dinner or have, a cocktail after the conference or things like that so that, again, it takes a little bit of the edge off of trying to do this all on your own. We can kind of softly help connect you with people, especially folks that you might not have thought to connect with before, but really end up being pretty rich in your network.
The one thing that I always find interesting about ISM, Angela, I think you mentioned this before. It's almost like a reunion.
Yes.
So I see so many familiar faces when I go there, and from leadership all the way through middle management, and even some of the students that like won Richter's last year are back this year. So it's just fun to see them progress in their careers. But I will say, as many people that I know and adore who go, I always meet new people, which is really great. It's a great mix of that each and every year. And I love how your face lit up when Ryan even just asked you the question about networking. And I will say that we've coined, at least in my team, when you do that connection on your ID, we call it booping. So I don't know if we can get that
The
embedded.
boop. I remember that. Yeah, that's
Yeah, so I don't know if we could get that embedded somewhere, but I think it's a lot of fun.
I love it. I think you got to copyright that. I think it's
Okay.
great. I was learning a bit from Angela and her team about this facilitator who's really going to help this group help with networking, because I'm sure I was just having coffee with someone recently. People still, even if they know people, some people still find it hard, right, to go up and say hi. And they want to get the benefits of the connection. So I think having that fun, facilitated networking is great. And also, as Angela was mentioning too, we're going to be incorporating some of the insights from the group throughout, and especially in the closing session and the Q&A with some of the award winners. We're going to try to use some of the insights that we received from the group over the last 2 days, and use some of that for the questions, which is another way to show that people are connected and their input is really part of the conversation.
And I would say that it's a community, right? Like whenever you go to ISM, it definitely has a community feel where you have a voice, you're learning from others, you're able to have those interactions even when someone is on stage. But it's an inclusive, it's not exclusive. Sometimes when people think of community, they're like, oh, it's hard to like get included in that group. It never feels that way. It's very inclusive, which I know you guys put your heart into that. So I just want to point out that there's definitely a community feel, but it's also very inclusive at the same time.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's our goal. That's our mission. So we want this to be like, again, I mean, I think it's stressful times. You want to go to a place where you're just kind of meet your your family, your professional family, and that you can have these kind of relax a little bit. You don't have to worry about explaining what it is that you do. Everybody speaks the language. Everybody's going through what you're going through, and how can you work on this together? So that's what it's about.
Fantastic.
What interactions can attendees expect with solution providers, and how much industry leading procurement technology will there be?
Yeah, so we do have our tech demos. So there'll be 7 of those that are going, and that's kind of sort of exclusive. So those are more interactive, facilitated sessions where they're actually going through new technology solutions. They have an interactive component where you can kind of provide feedback to those suppliers beyond maybe some things that are interactions that are happening at more the exhibit space level. And then we do have sort of that thought leadership. We have the insight stage that's really dedicated to some of our sponsor content. And they're really coming at it where they're bringing in some customers, and they're also like looking at it more as a, thought leadership. They're trying to share their knowledge. So it's very much interwoven into the content of the conference. We know that it's, pretty critical.
How would you describe the overall energy of the event? And is there a couple of keywords that usually come to mind?
Well, you'll probably see our hashtag, We Are ISM, and in some of the pictures. And it's kind of like, think of Sister Sledge and We Are Family, and I'm totally dating myself, but
We're right there.
I
I'm
mean,
right there with you.
and I think like we try to keep the music going. We always try to do some surprise and delights. We just want like from the minute you enter an ISM world, you feel like you've entered this safe space and that it's fun and high energy. And a lot of people, like, I think, they may come down like, oh gosh, I've got this other thing I've got to commit myself to, but you just see the energy turn around. And that's important, sort of, I guess, internally KPI for us. Not that there's a measurable piece of it, but it's a thing that we try to really hone in on as well. Like, this has to be an enjoyable experience, a worthwhile experience. The energy has to be high. That's part of the ROI that you take away.
Yeah, I will say I was happy in the reel that we were showing the pictures a little bit earlier on. Everyone was holding up their signs. There is a famous picture of me with my sign upside down. So to hold up a sign and take a picture, make sure it's right side up.
I love it.
Ryan, I'll find it and send it to you. No, I'm
Okay.
That's such an important point. Energy is key, right? So that we've said, this is my first time and I'm so excited about it. But as I said, I've been to other conferences before, and where conferences fall short is where they just don't move you, right? There may be the content intellectually, you may get news that you can use, but you don't feel it, right? And so I think that is so key with the energy, the community, the connectivity, the content that's really about what the audience needs so that they feel it. I think that's how you measure the return on the investment and why people keep coming back, because that they feel it when they're there, and then they bring that into their lives moving forward. So
for anyone that's gone to the conference, they would know this, but for anyone that has not, they may not know that the people that attend ISM World know how to have a good time. I've definitely found that.
This audience has amazed me. We have started creating these closing. I think it was back in 23 was the first time we really kind of officially had a closing party. And they have kind of really created a life of their own. And I'll never forget, I had to leave for a minute to go check on something, and then came back, and it was an 80s theme that year. We had this fun band that was kind of all 80s themed, and I left and I'm like, people, it was kind of like, like the early, grade school dances where, nobody was really out there. It was a little quiet. And I'm like, oh gosh, I really hope that, people kind of get involved. I came back and everybody was shouting from the summer of 69. And so everybody, but even like the younger attendees were all with their Stranger Things outfits, so, I mean, it was a lot of fun. And this is a group that definitely, they work hard, but they play hard too.
Is there anything new beyond what you've mentioned already, or anything additional distinct that you want to highlight for the conference this year?
One thing, well, a couple of things. We've created some new session types. One, lightning round sessions. So think of it kind of like a game show in segments that we've got kind of an MC and we've got people kind of rapid fire 20-minute sessions where they're kind of giving like the top five or like real tip oriented that people can that really want to consume a lot of content, take a lot of notes, and then they move on to the next session. We also have solutions labs. So these are kind of facilitated, they're meant to be problem solving. So people are going in, they're working together on solving kind of key problems. Um, with the introduction, we're so excited to have Kelly because Kelly is going to like help us weave the story throughout, like connect all the points. But we also have this underlying thread too, where we are working with a group to help us with some of this big networking at the beginning, but we have some nice interactive to get people's feedback installations throughout. And as Kelly mentioned, that will be threaded into the discussion with our shipment panel at the closing. But we're also going to work on an exercise before anybody leaves the closing general session. It's an take action exercise. So everyone will walk away with at least one committed action that they are going to take back to the office when they leave. So I think it's just because, again, this is a big commitment for people. So we want to make sure that one, they feel like they've learned something throughout and they walk away with one actionable item that they definitely want to implement back in the office.
Why should someone consider attending this conference now?
I know now people are probably like, oh gosh, there's so much going on. I can't possibly get away. But I think now is the time. We all go to these types of meetings sometimes where like, the think tank type meetings and things like that. And you're going in like thinking, oh my gosh, I'm investing all this time. I have so much stuff going on in the background. But when you go and leave, you're like, I'm so glad we did this because is there ever a good time? I think that now is the time when you need to lean into your community the most. Between, the updates with tariffs, what's going on geopolitically, what's happening with inflation and rising costs. I mean, there's just so many things that are hammering the profession right now. Lean into your community to help you with that problem solving and re-energize you with new ideas of how to attack it. So I think now more than ever is the time to lean in.
Go fill your cup. That's what I like. That's what I just think,
Absolutely.
like, go fill your cup with the knowledge, but then also the energy. Because I think whenever I leave, going to a conference also takes a lot of energy, right? It does
It
as
does.
an attendee. But I always leave more energized than when I went in, from the interactions and from the content and the whole vibe of the conference. So it's right around the corner, and it's a great way to start kind of heading into the summer months.
I
Absolutely.
mean, the power of the personal, we all agree. We can have
Mhm.
conversations, Zoom, Teams, etc., but there's nothing like that one-on-one connection or being in a group and listening and learning together. And then I also think, as you were saying, Angela, I mean, the amount of change that leaders, especially in this profession and industry, are facing on a daily basis is insane, right? I mean, it is just rapid fire. And it can really burn you out, and it can be hard. And so what's great is working with your leaders and fellow community members to really figure out what are they doing, what are they thinking about, and how can you all move forward together? Because the only certainty, right, for all of us is the change is going to continue.
Exactly.
It'd be nice if it slows down just a little bit, but I don't think that is
Yeah.
happening anytime soon.
Kelly, one last question for you. Is there any other surprises the audience can expect with you emceeing this event? Any particular interactions that they can expect with you?
Well, I am there, right? So I love connecting. So I'm hoping that anyone attending the conference who wants to meet one-on-one, we can do that. There's also the possibility, Angela, right, if I'm going to offer up a small breakout at some point where we can talk about how to be an effective communicator. That's something I work with our clients regularly on how to deal with high stakes moments. Could be a media interview, it could be a presentation, it could be a town hall event, but how to get the most from that experience and be the most effective. So happy to share those learnings and that expertise with the attendees as well. And then really trying to be a listener and trying to pick up what I'm picking up around the conference and then sprinkling that in. That's just another way for people at the conference to feel like they're being heard and what they're sharing is making it to the main stage and into the ongoing conversation throughout the conference.
You've both given the audience a lot to consider for this event. Amanda, what stood out most to you from the conversation?
Well, I'm a huge fan of this conference, first of all. So I just, from listening to all this, I'm just more excited to go, right? But I also love the different additions that you mentioned, the lightning rounds of the content. I think that's what you're calling it, right? The lightning round. I'm preparing for that right now. I'm actually in it. It's a little daunting as a presenter, but it's going to be fascinating, very targeted, very practical, quick hitting content, which for me, someone that doesn't sit down for very long is perfect, right? So I just love how you're continuing to innovate at the conference, and you're bringing in some amazing people to help support the conference too. And I'm really looking forward to it. So thanks for sharing the journey to get here and what to expect.
Well, truly, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes, Angela and Kelly, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time and all of the insights you've shared. And we're looking forward to seeing you both at the conference.
Yes, can't wait. I'll see you guys in less than 30 days. I can't believe it. In Denver.
Looking forward to it. Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.
What a great conversation we had with ISM World, where we got an inside view of the conference. ISM World is the premier and the largest procurement supply chain conference. It's strategy focused, it's networking centric, it's a community driven event. And we heard so many great examples of what our audience can expect. The conference is best suited for professionals across all career levels, from those just starting or earlier in their career to practitioners and mid-level to senior leaders and executives. And attendees can expect to walk away with new knowledge, strategic perspectives, stronger peer connections, distinct learning and networking opportunities at their level. We work with conference teams to ensure accurate information, but our goal is simple: to provide clear context so professionals can evaluate events objectively and decide if it's the right fit for their priorities. We want professionals to assess carefully, choose intentionally, and if this conference aligns with your priorities, we will post a link below where you can learn more. If this show was helpful, follow Conference Insider as we work to raise the standard for how procurement professionals evaluate conferences, and share this with someone evaluating their conference calendar. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next time on Conference Insider Procurement Edition.